Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. Should this woman go to jail for manslaughter? The short answer is absolutely not. You should not go to jail, and the thought of you going to jail for defending yourself should never cross the minds of any cops or prosecutors, but that is exactly what might happen to this young lady. She may go to jail for defending herself against the very thing that I was talking about the last show. With these overly aggressive, these mannish acting black women who feel that because they don't like what you say to them, they can put their hands on you simply because they feel like it. And this woman, unfortunately, paid the price for thinking she could put her hands on somebody simply because she was arguing with them and she didn't like what they said to her, or she cracked on them and they cracked back with a better crack, and now she's mad and she thinks she's going to solve her problems by putting her hands on someone. 30-year-old LaTanya Watson, and that is key, 30 years old, was stabbed and died as a result of being stabbed when she attacked 20-year-old Mia Simmons, 20 years old being the key. There is a 10-year difference between these two, and you would think that a 30-year-old woman would have better sense when it comes to dealing with a 20-year-old child. Apparently, this happened in New York a day or so ago, and apparently these two got to some kind of altercation and exchange on a subway train. And as you can see in the video, Miss Simmons exits that train well ahead of Miss Watson. She's on her telephone when Miss Watson grabs her from behind and attempts to start striking her. Of course, she reacts to her grabbing her, trying to fight her. The two start fighting, and Miss Simmons reaches into her bag or purse or whatever it is that she has and pulls out what is stories are saying is a small knife, and she stabs Mrs. Watson, and Mrs. Watson, who refuses to stop even when she is being stabbed, only stops when she realizes the severity of what is going on, and that's when common sense and clarity take over, and she moves out of the way, moves out of the frame of the video, where she is taken to a hospital later on, and she dies as a result of being taken to a hospital. Ms. Simmons was arrested shortly thereafter, and she was charged with manslaughter and carrying a concealed weapon. Her lawyer has come out and said that, of course, the defense is, and the video absolutely positively shows that she was defending herself because she was, in fact, attacked by Miss Watson. And the knife, at this point, to me, is irrelevant. I know in New York you can't carry knives and you can't carry guns, even though the criminals carry knives and carry guns, and the cops seemingly, when they arrest those people, they let them out on bond and they go back and recover their confiscated guns and confiscated knives and continue to do their criminal acts. But when a person like Miss Simmons, who is carrying a knife because she wants to defend herself just in case something like this happens, just in case she is attacked by one of those criminals that you let out more than often when you catch them for carrying guns and knives and all kind of illegal things. But she carries a weapon just in case someone attacks her, and she has something to get that attacker off of her. Well, when it actually happens, you want to put the person who protected themselves in jail versus the person who you constantly let out for attacking and robbing and stealing and assaulting people. They apparently have more rights than the person has who is being attacked. Now, quite understandably, Miss Watson's friends and family have come out in support of her, with her father being quoted as saying, you know, my daughter was a beautiful person. She had a job. She was going to work. Your daughter was not going to work, sir. Your daughter I take that back. She may have been going to work. She got into it with somebody, but the part you're leaving out is that on her way to work, she attacked someone in a fit of anger. And the reason that she's dead is because her fit of anger costs her her life. A friend of Miss Watson's, Kimberly Jones, told the New York Daily News that Miss Watson was never in any type of drama. Lady, did you see the video? Who are we kidding? I never even seen her argue with anybody. Lady, did you see the video? She's arguing with someone. The girl didn't have to stab her. Yes, she did have to stab her. You would have stabbed someone too if they attacked you from behind and you had a knife. This was somebody's mother. This was somebody's fiance. You should have thought about your child, and you should have thought about your fiance before your uncontrollable anger cost you your life. And not only, if you look at the video, not only does she attack her from behind, but it happens really quickly, so you have to look at it. And, you know, I've slowed it down so maybe you can see it. Reports have come back that Miss Watson tried to pepper spray this girl from behind before she attacked her. So she came off of that subway car with a premeditated notion of doing damage to that girl, and she wanted to get the upper hand on her. So if she in fact attempted to pepper spray her from behind before she attacked her, there's no way in the world that this girl should go to jail for manslaughter, should go to jail for carrying a knife. As a matter of fact, she's absolutely proven why you should carry a weapon with you sometimes, because you don't know what someone is going to do to you. Now, earlier I alluded to the ages of these two, one being 30, one being 20, but it was to illustrate a point. Of course, you know my shtick, 90s babies, the most useless, violent, self-destructive generation of blacks in the history of Black America. Well, it doesn't matter if a decade separates these two. Both of them came up with the same influences, the same violence, the same way of handling issues is by fighting and striking and kicking and punching and stabbing. 90s babies are a self-fulfilling prophecy. Somebody asked me once, well what is the solution to this? Because I don't like your solution, or when you say that 90s babies, the only solution is jail or death. They're either going to go to jail or they are going to kill themselves off, because you cannot do anything with them. And that person finally had to come around to that conclusion. There's nothing you can do with these generations. These generations are so corrupted that and within that whole group of people, of dysfunctional people, there are some that will pull themselves out of this mess. But by and large, I'm sorry, when your entertainers are psychopaths and killers and criminals, these are the people that you admire. These are the people that you grow up emulating. These are the people that you want to be like. They are telling you to be violent by way of their music. They're telling you to be violent by way of their behavior and their activity. So you can only grow up thinking that that is a normal way to live your life. And when reality hits and you're out here on these streets and something happens, and this is how you choose to handle your anger issues, by fighting and grabbing and attempting to pepper spray and beat people up, and they turn around and exact the same level of violence on you that you were going to do to them, then there's no way that you can justify putting somebody like that in jail. You guys were tailor-made for self-destruction. Why don't you understand that? Why don't you understand that the last 25 plus years of all this ghetto garbage that you've been consuming is the reason why a lot of you act this way, and you are a self-fulfilling prophecy when it comes to your own self-destruction. And these types of women, just like I said in the last show, these are the ones who are raising these children. These are the ones who are giving these children their blueprint on how to live their lives. So when these kids get old enough, they are going to just duplicate the same pattern of self-destruction that has been taught to them by their mothers. I don't care what you say. The fathers are not even an issue in this. The mothers are the first point of contact and the number one influence when it comes to putting a value system into their children. And once you let them out on the streets with the same corrupted value system that you have, it's just going to be another cycle of this that is eventually going to kill itself off before it gets any better. Our black women have a serious problem, and it gets to a point to where, as a man, I can only address it so much. Women are going to really have to address this the same way that black men are going to have to address black men and a lot of this stupid behavior that they engage in. Black women are going to have to do the same thing. I really think, we need black American summits across this country where we can get together and talk about these things and, get some of this stuff under control, man, because it is just absolutely ridiculous to have your women be so mannish, so aggressive, so violent, and it is only getting worse. Black people just don't want to realize that, I guess, and they just don't want to admit the fact that you have become the very thing that you condemn in the United States of America, and that is the tragic part of all of this. I'm sorry that that young woman lost her life, but she lost her life because of her violent, overly aggressive behavior, and you need to learn to check yourselves. For all of you who are watching this, all you black women who think that violence and fighting is a way to solve your problems, look at this video, and I hope you learn something from it. Do not put that girl in jail. Give her knife back and put her back out on the streets, because apparently she knows how to take care of herself. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.